joined right now by one half of Silicone Soul, Graham Reedy, who's just been filling in for Slam because they're on tour, and well, they're going on tour in Europe right now, isn't that right?
That's right, yeah, the guys couldn't make it tonight, so happy to step in, you know.
We can hear it actually kicking off with Alan Fitzpatrick in the background. How do you think it went tonight, obviously warming up the crowd?
Yeah, it went really, really well. Our dance floor was packed by the end of the hour, so really happy, you know. It's always a pleasure to play at Pressure, it's a great crowd. So.
Speaking of which, obviously we're here with Pressure. It's going to get pretty serious later on during the night. I mean, how do you approach a gig like Pressure compared to, obviously, you got Return to Mono, which is another venture that Soma and Slam do together? And, you know, when you're actually touring around, especially with Silicone Soul, what's the difference between the gigs?
You generally have to wait till you get there when you're travelling and see what the resident's playing before you can... it doesn't help to travel with a plan, really. I prefer to turn up and see what the residents playing and what the people seem to enjoy, and then look through your music and try and select things that fit with the vibe of the party. Obviously you play a bit tougher at Pressure than maybe you would in the sub club, but it's all good. It gives you a chance to play everything you like because there's so much good stuff about it at the moment.
Silicone Soul, fantastic set producers, fantastic artists, almost producing as long as the label for, you know, Soma Records for over 20 years. I mean, you must have had some fantastic moments during that time between records getting signed and then dropping them obviously at your gigs and that. Have you got any sort of favourable moments over the almost 20 years, 20th anniversary obviously Soma's coming up for?
When we got our first ever white label back, and it was it just had a big bit of pen writing on it saying Soma Records, Silicone Soul, we were just so happy to have that bit of vinyl. An awful lot of work had gone into it up to that point, and we've still got a photo of that, of us just kind of proudly with this sort of virgin piece of vinyl. That was absolute happy days, that was.
What was actually the first track that Silicone Soul put out for that? And I mean, can you roughly guess? I'd probably say guess now as well. It's a long time, so many tracks, so many albums you've released. I mean, do you know when that was at all?
That was 11, 12 years ago now. So it was called Climbing Walls.
And how did you, as a duo, I mean Silicone Soul, how did you meet? Was it something that you kind of came together during clubbing, or was it something you bumped into mates through mates and all that sort of stuff?
We were at school together, so we've been mates for a long time. We played in a sort of punky, rocky band together at school, and then we get into clubbing together. We've just been friends a long time, so it's been, you know, it's just really nice hanging out with your mate, you're playing music you love and that.
And have we got any productions from Silicone Soul that's coming out? I mean, obviously the Darkroom dubs, that's been such a huge response to that. What's next for Silicone Soul?
Well, we've got a remix that's just coming out on Darkroom dubs of Alex Nigaman and Mark Popka. It's been really well received in the promotion, so it's looking good for that. And we're also starting to put the pieces together for the next LP. So just kind of steadily, just keeping on, you know.
Do you use any technology in your sets at all, Graham, or are you pretty much a traditionalist when it comes to the DJing side of things with 2 decks and a mixer?
Yeah, I mean, I can. If there's 3 decks, that's fine too. But I think between that and some of the modern mixers with the effects built into them, I think guys spend a lot of time making tracks, and I like to play their tracks from nearly the start to nearly the end, and just, you know, I don't want to loop bits up in the middle or mess about with what's taking these guys hours to get right, you know. So I just think play one track after another, and hopefully if you pick them right, folk will be able to appreciate them.
As well as that, obviously, when you're building sets, I mean, even the production side of things, especially with Silicone Soul, there's always an identity. And I mean, it's so important these days with especially the download culture, you have to have an identity. So I mean, if anybody was wanting to listen to Silicone Soul, how would you say, what's your sound? Because from when you started almost 11, 12 years ago to what you've got now.
It's obviously just the sort of sum total of everything we enjoy in music, and then what we're actually able to do and our imagination in that is just kind of what me and Craig are into. So I couldn't really give you a concise wee description of it, but yeah, I mean, hopefully we sound like ourselves, and that's, you know, if we do, then job, you know, happy days.
I think for those who are more chart orientated as well will remember, obviously almost was around about 10 years ago, we had that huge re-release of Right On Virgin as well. How did that actually come about, right in the top lines? Was it something you intended, or was it just a case of that people kind of caught on to the hype and wanted to do a top line on it, and then it came from there?
Yeah, I mean, basically, the track had been doing really well for us on a sort of underground footing for 1-2 years, and it just wouldn't go away. People kept playing it, and then eventually Virgin came to us with an offer, but in return for that, they really needed to put a vocal on it to make it worth their while. So it seemed like a good thing to do at the time, you know.
Obviously it was. I mean, it was absolutely massive, right across the board, from the underground to the overground. It's a huge Ibiza anthem, numerous compilations. I mean, it must have been a really proud moment to see that track, you know, come from being signed to Soma, just to totally explode like that.
Oh, definitely, and it was high times, because we were in the studio in London and we went out to get a cup of tea and Mick Jagger walked past us and stuff. I mean, it was just happy days, like, you know.
Well, that must have been a surreal moment.
It was really cool. I got an autograph and then I had to say, I'm not taking the piss, can I get one for my dad and all, you know. But he was very gracious, he was cool.
Great when you have moments like that, isn't it? Finally, just wrapping up, what's inspired you to come up with the name Silicone Soul? Was there a gimmick or anything behind it?
Well, sadly, actually, we couldn't think of a name for our band, so we just had no ideas at all. So our friend suggested it to us, and we were like, oh, okay.
He'll be kicking himself for that now, won't he?
Yeah, it's not the best story, but that's the grim truth.
And for more information, obviously, on Silicone Soul and future projects, where can we find you?
You can get us at MySpace for Silicone Soul, or on Facebook or whatever.
It's a Facebook nation now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great way. I was kind of resistant for ages, but I really like it.
Well, Graham, it's been absolutely fantastic speaking to you. You're more than welcome towards the Sound Spektrum anytime. We really appreciate it, and we'll hope to see you at more events like Pressure, warming up with some of the fantastic artists there, and even headlining as well. Thanks very much, Graham. Cheers.
All the best, man. Cheers.